Hello everybody, and I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I'm crying right now. This is legitimately take 5 for me doing just a small video. Hello. I'm sorry, but this is going to have to come out a lot later today than it should. I know some of you really just want to watch like right away, understand what's going on and everything. I'm trying to do that, but with 5 takes on top of it with the runny nose, and when your editing software legitimately likes to freeze on you a lot during the editing process, to the point where it could take an hour or 2 hours to even edit, let alone an hour or an hour and a half extra to render. It's gonna be quite hard, and I honestly should have woke up earlier, but I didn't think they were gonna come out with the collab. I knew they were gonna come out with a big update, but I didn't think it was gonna be this big as a collab. I kind of honestly forgot that collabs were a thing in Unison League. My bad. Even though I do have some collab monsters that I could just flash in front of my face, I wasn't even thinking collab at the point. I'm not even gonna lie. I kind of forgot they existed at this point. Just how well, like sarcastically speaking, how well they carried Unison League so far this upcoming past months they've been having. Not so well whatsoever. But anyways, I'm gonna try to finish this as fast as possible, especially with my runny nose constantly complaining when I'm actually talking during this video. And it honestly just adds a really nice backsting to what I'm actually talking about. Anyways, let me actually get to this and everything surrounding it. Let me do my best for you guys and gals out there, and hopefully I will finish these videos as soon as possible. I'm going to be talking about both the update and the spawn events. Let's get to it. Okay, so with all these 4 monsters, they actually added 4 new featured monsters right now. We got Adventure Cosmo right here. I never watched the anime. I don't know the name, so please don't get mad at me when I actually pronounce these completely wrong. Okay, so let's get to it. Okay, so the only thing that's actually going to be free to play with this monster, not free to play, but the only thing that's going to be player versus enemy orientated about the abilities is the damage it does, and the fact that it recurs 20 costs for all allies. Everything else it has, all the abilities are going to be player versus enemy orientated. This is not going to be useful as a, like, if you have a haste unity roll during for player versus enemy anything, whether it's skill battles, dorms, coliseum. Not useful. There are so many other better monsters out there that could do a lot better, and there's so many different ways you could use monsters for haste unison to the point where it could just it could make a big impact and set you in a huge advantage during the battle. This is not one of these monsters. This monster will barely make an impact, long story short, during the whole trip and everything surrounding it. The Nullify Unison gauge filled with time legitimately only works for 1 cheer, and after that is done. And with the 50% success rate, that's horrible. That's a horrible success rate for Prohibit Unison. That's laughable, to be fairly honest. There are monsters out there that are 33 costs with 70. And not even one. There's multiple out there that are 33 costs with 70 success value for Prohibit Unison, and heck, 36 costs with 80 success value, if I'm correct, with Prohibit Unison. So, not worth it whatsoever in everything surrounding that scenario and situation. The only time I can see this monster being useful is when you are, let's say, perhaps, if you're doing a Unison battle or a guild battle, right? You pop this monster. If your team's getting all the abilities and stuff they need to survive during Crystal Assaults, not exactly survive, but help thrive during Crystal Assaults, this monster may be useful for next round if you're dealing with people that have a negative pressure or Autonomous Omen that nullifies using gauge reduction 1 time. Can come in handy during those scenarios and situations, because if you manage to pop that, it gives you 1 free ticket past negative pressure, or perhaps Autonomous Omens, so that way it just becomes really handy and really helpful, to be fairly honest. So yeah, that's the only time I see it being useful for guild battles, is during like second round or first round, perhaps, say, and you're going to the Crystal Assault. Afterwards, if you need something to help against negative pressure or Autonomous Omen for the second round or any other rounds past the second round, only thing I see it being helpful for, and that's legitimately it. There's even other monsters that help do this. I know one right off the bat is Noah. I think they have another one that I can't name right off the bat. But yeah, this was 37 cost, that was 36, and it's a time, so you might want to be careful throwing that out. So it's slightly better for that situation and scenario. That's legitimately the only purpose of that monster right there. And then we got Aqua right here, Archpriest. she's just pretty much a healer, but the only thing she's missing, which is one of the most important heals, is continuous heal. If you do get her HP recovery boosted, if you do get her level 4, because it says right here, HP recovery boosted by 10% for each increase in skill level, it's going to be 100%. So that's a beneficial factor right there. User, you get all your HP healed right off the bat. She constantly removes status elements for all allies. Recover 25 cost, boost HP recovery effects, all that good stuff right there. That will help with healing. There are other monsters that do that as well. Sutheria is one of the monsters. Sutheria, I think, actually does a better job. And the funny thing is she's a 36 cost that you could attain by doing this special spawn over here. Or if they come out with step-up spawns or anything surrounding that scenario and situation, a better healer, personally, she gives 100 cost, she gives 30 cost to all allies, excluding yourself. You're actually getting 50 cost instead of 30 cost. Everything surrounding that scenario situation, move status, elements, all that. The only thing Aqua's got on Sutheria is the fact that she's, first of all, 37 cost, so she could give off more score during Unison battles if you even dare to use her, considering that she doesn't have really all too much of a useful ability for Unison battles. And the fact that she removes status elements continuously are the only things she even got on Sutheria. Those are the only two things. Other than that, Sutheria just dominates as a healer overall compared to that monster. Anyways, moving on from there, we got, please don't get mad when I say this. I'm gonna say this wrong for sure, especially with my ready nose. Megawin? I'm not sure, something like that. But anyways, it's got decent damage. Well, it's gonna be between decent and good damage. I'm not 100% sure right off the bat. And then it's got like a success value of 80, applies stun, complies confusion. It's also gonna reduce the stats of all like. It has a debuffs. It's a debuff. It gives a few debuffs. It gives a few status elements. And because of the Dermot it has with the Awakening Standby, as you can see what they both do, that's going to cast Awakening on yourself right away. So, right there, this monster is actually, like, ability-wise, if you were to take off the player versus player aspects, and I'll talk about those in a second, this monster has as much of a useful ability as your average 30 or 31 cost in Unison. Heck, even with like C-Mode and Amogus, right? Those 30 costs right there have better abilities than this monster. And I do not kid you, they're literally better for player versus enemy than this monster right here. Now with player versus player, this all depends on how much of a stack Confuse gives. If it gives 3 like Odin's Paralyzation, which by the way probably will not. I mean, it might, but it's a team, you never know. But honestly, how it's looking and everything surrounding the scenario and situation, it is not very likely to give 3 stacks. It is not very likely, especially considering it has a success value. Not very likely. If it only gives 1 stack and that's at an 80% chance or near 80% chance, let me rephrase myself, I'm gonna tell you right now, the status elements are not worth it, and it's not even gonna be good for a player versus player monster, to be fairly honest, because Odin, if you pop Odin, right, Odin just gives 3 stacks of paralyzation, and if you got 3 stacks, you're almost not going to be doing anything. So if you manage to pop Odin, you can make your enemy team just sit there, do nothing, and you can do whatever you want, whether you want to sit there and cheer for the whole time, or whatever you want to do to gain Unison. Just pop, like, all your teammates pop Unison at once, just screw the enemy team over. Whatever you want to do, you can absolutely do with 3 stacks, because they can't do jack squat if they manage to get 3 stacks, or nearly exactly anything. They might be able to do like something every once in a while, for the most part they're just standing still and they gotta watch you. So that's what I'm saying about the status elements and everything surrounding it. It's probably not going to be that way, so don't expect it to be that way. Because it won't be that way, it's not going to be really useful for player versus player either. If that was the case, though, I would definitely say it would be a more handy monster for player versus player. But anyways, moving on from there. Alright, so right here we got Darkness. Darkness is great for player versus enemy tanking. This is a very tanky monster. If you got a squishy team, this monster will come in handy. This monster is not something that's just OP it's a must-need monster. That's not the case whatsoever. There are a few occasions where this monster could come in good handy for sure, especially during guild raids. If you need this type of tankiness, guild raids would probably be the most useful thing for this monster. Usually not needed in player versus enemy, sometimes can be very useful player versus enemy, especially if you have like a team that's not there yet gear score wise and stuff like that, but they need to clutch. This monster could definitely be that clutch for that team and stuff like that. Overall, long term and just in general though, this monster is usually not needed. Occasionally good monster for taking because you may need it because you're squishy and you may die easy, but usually the best place to use this type of monster would be for sure guild raids, because sometimes in guild raids these monsters will absolutely kill you quite easily. Because of that, if you manage to have tanky monsters like these, they will definitely help for survival. So that's everything surrounding the scenario situation with all these monsters. These monsters will give 7.5k pots, nearly as much, ironically, as a 36 cost monster that gives pots as well. So that's the funny thing with some of these 37s and some of these 36s, they nearly give as much pots. I don't know what's going on with AT, but they usually get 500 more for each cost going upwards. So they should probably fix that. Hopefully sometime they do, because it's kind of sad if Archangels, even with 37 cost pots, give off the most pots gear score wise. So anyways, moving on from there. They don't give all too much. I just want to tell you, all of those monsters don't give all too much for their pots. They just give 7.5k stats and some extra stuff that you see like that. With these weapons, they will give, and the armors, all collab orientated. They're going to give collab prestige bonus after it's all over. The bow is going to give fatal testament. Nice, definitely a nice skill. 50 ability power guaranteed because it's a critical hit guaranteed if it procs, that is. Then whether you get like the sword and lance, it's going to give physical testament XL. Whether you get the staff, it's going to give magical testament XL, and I believe the relic is going to give healing testament XL. As you can see right here, I know what I'm talking about, so it shows it right here, everything surrounding it. And I forgot whether the armors are going to get physical or magical reflection XL, but they're going to give one or the other. And I'm not talking about one armor, I'm talking about all of the armors. But that's after the collab. During the collab, they have their little special abilities to help with the collab and stuff like that. So anyways, let's actually talk about the gear spawn and everything surrounding it. Okay, so right here, I want you to ignore the bottom three. The bottom three are not even worth mentioning. They're a rip-off completely and not worth your gems under any circumstance or situation whatsoever. And there's absolutely no purpose they should be there whatsoever. But these top three right here are definitely the most helpful ones. Let's actually get into them and see if they are right for you. The free spawn's right for everybody, by the way, so I'm just going to skip the free spawn. Don't even worry about that. It's literally 0 gems, so you're not losing anything if you do them whatsoever. And there are occasions where you could actually get free collab gear from the free spots. So I hope that's me. I hope I actually get the bow. If I get the bow, I'm going to be jumping up and down. Probably, at least, because that means if I get a second version of the bow, I could easily fuse it. And if I can easily fuse it, it's going to easily give off... It's absolutely, I'm going to be jumping at least 10k if I manage to get 2 bows. One dupe and one original. I'm going to be jumping 10Ks. If you watch my fusion guide, you already know how it's going to go and everything surrounding it. So anyways, moving on from there, let's actually get to this. Okay, so with the 30 gem ones, let's talk about the 30 gem ones first. These 30 gem ones are guaranteed your SSR collab gears. And with these collab gears are going to be 36 cost weapons and 37 cost armors. These are the highest costs at the moment. So in other words, you're getting the highest cost gear guaranteed for 30 gems. If you watch my videos before, if you know how gem spawns work, they are a good deal. Especially considering you know how treasure spawns work when you spawn 30 gems each and every time to spawn. Yeah, you can see where this is coming in. 30 gems for the highest cost guaranteed at the moment. Definitely a good deal. Though you may want to be careful with the weapon spawn, because the weapon spawn is a good deal. 30 gems for a 36 cost, all hands down good deal. But it's going to be a weapon of a random class. It's not guaranteed to be the weapon of your class, sadly. I wish that was the case. If that was the case, I would tell you just spawn this right away. Don't even think about it. Don't even look back. Just spawn it. Because almost everybody, unless you already have a crap ton of 36s, like your whole weapon slot would be full of 36s, this would be definitely worth it, all hands down. But anyways, moving on from there, One thing I do like about this though, with the collab weapon spawn, is that for once in like the entire existence in Unison League, it's actually fairly random. When I say fair, I mean fair, because they like class spawns and like step up spots and treasure spawns are random and stuff like that, right? But the rates are so fixed, they're so narrow, they're so formulated that usually you can predict what you're actually going to get before you even get it. And it's quite sad considering most of the time they work against you instead of with you, and that's just very disloyal team when it comes to gem spawns and stuff like this, because again, one of the most free to play, well, one of the most pay to win games I've ever played is literally this game. But anyways, one thing I like about it is, unlike usually when they usually come out with stuff that includes rates and stuff like that, this one actually is nearly completely random. So you absolutely could be getting something absolutely wild, off the base, off the charts, and anything when it comes to the collab weapon spawn. That is the cool thing, is it's completely random for once, and it's actually not fixed for once in its freaking life. With the armor spawn though, there's no risk involved whatsoever. You're getting a 37 cost armor guaranteed, and armors work for any class. So that's the absolutely like the big sunshine of the whole armor spawn and everything surrounding it. And even if perhaps say you might argue, oh, I already got like good 35/37s with good abilities as are armors, I don't need more armors and stuff like that, so why would I do the armor spawn? You could do the armor spawn for infusion material, because again, it's a free 37 cost armor. Of course, you probably want to wait until the collapse over, so that way you could get a lot of prestige, because this will be a prestige, this will be a competitive free to play, not free to play, but a competitive player versus enemy collab, because they do have prestige rankings, so people will be competing to see who can get the highest prestige in these collab quests and everything surrounding it. So keep that in mind while you're doing these. And these gears that you will be getting extra collab. But anyways, once it's over and stuff like that, you could use the armor that you collected for infusion material. Considering that 37 cost is the highest, if your stuff isn't infused, if you don't have your stuff to the 3rd infusion, it's going to cost 1 ether. Whether you're going for your 37s, 36s, 35s, anything, it's going to be costing 1 ether from level 1 to level 3. Of course, level 4 it's going to be 4 ethers. At that level 5 it's going to be 10 ethers. But that's cheaper than using similar gear instead. And all of this is 30 gems to obtain the highest cost. So that right there is definitely a nice steal, snatch, and benefit of the collab spots and everything surrounding it. The one thing that does suck with these collab spots is these are one time only with the 30 gems. And ever since 2015, I think, when they first came out with an ever collab, I'm not sure how the collab spawns work, but when I first started like a year and a half ago, when 32 cost was the highest, they have never ever made the 30 gem spawns one time only. They've always been 3 times only to spawn. You could only spawn them 3 times when it comes to the weapon and armor. This is the first time I believe I've ever seen them only 1 time. That is really saddening, and everything surrounding that scenario and situation, that they only make it 1 time. So you can only do these 1 time, and that's legitimately it. But anyways, the fact that they have these out is still a beneficial factor, and it's really good. Okay, so with this 80 gem one, I want to talk about the step up first, because they work very similar. Okay, so this right here, the step up is going to be absolutely 80 gems. 30 plus 30 equals 60. 60 plus 20 equals 80. What SR higher collab guaranteed? What guarantee costs 25 or higher SSR gear piece? And you read that right. You read that right. It's only 125 or higher SSR gear piece. Not a collab, but it's just a higher SSR. It's just a 25 cost or higher SSR gear piece. By the way, if you're unaware, that goes up to 30 as an ultra rare. That's 30 cost as an ultra rare. That's not a lot of cost. That is not a lot of cost, and that's not a lot of gear score, by the way. But anyways, at the very end, you're finally guaranteed 1 collab SSR. So if you actually read this right, it's nearly the exact same as this one, except this one, instead of getting a 25 cost SSR guaranteed on top of the collab you're getting, instead your collab, whatever collab piece you're getting, will be ultra rare. You're getting 2 XP quest keys and an ether. So these two are nearly the exact same thing. What you would be getting, you will be getting 1 collab gear guaranteed if you get to the full step up. Just like this one right here, both 80 gems and both random collab pieces. They could be anything, from the monsters to the weapons to the armors, anything. Both 80 gems and everything surrounding that. So these are nearly the exact same price. Would these be worth it for you and everything surrounding you like that? Unless you are working towards getting score or getting prestige for this event, considering that they have a prestige ranking, absolutely not. That is the only purpose, the only reason you should even go after the step up and the one over here. Even with the ether, it's not worth it. If you want ether, just work on the special spawns and work on questing, to be fairly honest, because they have ether droplets and stuff like that in the actual collab. And use limit cookies. Wait for them to have a better opportunity and a better deal for ethers, because eventually they will have a better opportunity and deal for ethers, whether they re-go over the special spawn over here, whether they bring back the special spawn, so that way you can obtain it for 15 gems instead of 80 gems personally, and stuff like that, and everything surrounding that, because you're getting a way better deal and you're going to be able to spawn more other stuff if you don't just waste your gems on one freaking ether for 80 gems, and that's not worth it whatsoever. So that's my intake on the spawn and everything surrounding it. Thank you for tuning in, thank you for watching, and I hope this helped out. This is the AzureWrath, that'll catch you in the next video. I'm out. Peace.